Hey boys and girls, welcome back to Friday's version of January's Number Corner. Today is Friday, January the 8th, and it's Friday, and I'm so excited because that means we have 2 days to rest and get ready for another week of learning. So let's go ahead and get through our Number Corner today, and maybe it'll be a really short video. We'll see. You can see the calendar marker for today's date right here behind me, or next to me, I should say, which is another right triangle, and it's similar to the 7th because it's the same shape, but it's just bigger, okay? So, just to look at it a little closer here, I'm going to go ahead and write down the name of the shape, which is a right triangle. And I want you to think about, what is the area of this shape? This one looks a little tricky, right? So we have 1 full, 2 full square units, and then we have one missing about a fourth, which we could say this would fit here. Then another missing a fourth, which you could say this piece would fit there, which would give us then a total of, right, 4 square units, I'll say. Okay? So I will add that to our recording sheet. Any other observations for this shape? Great, let's move on. The bulk of our conversation today is coming from our calendar collector, which we know we are collecting 3 quarters a day for each day that we are in school in January, okay? And so you can look at our recording sheet, and maybe you remember from the previous video when I showed it to you kind of before I was supposed to show it to you. So I gave you a little sneak peek. Here's what we're looking at this month in terms of our calendar collector. We are looking at recording how many quarters we have, of course, since we're collecting 3 quarters a day, what fraction that is of a dollar, and then how much money that actually is. And then we'll have some discussions about how you know how much money it is. So let's get started and let's think about day 1. How many quarters did we have on day 1? Right, 3, and that's represented in white here with our 3 white quarters. So how would I write that as a fraction? Good, we have 3/4 of a dollar. That's a fraction of a dollar, and I'm going to make it really big so we can see it clearly. So 3/4 of a dollar. And if you notice also here, we're taking the day that we're in school, the number of days we've been in school so far, and we can multiply it by 3 because we're collecting 3 quarters each day. So for the first day, we have 3 quarters, and we would write that as 3/4. How much money is 3/4 of a dollar? Good, it's 75 cents. So how many quarters did we have on day 2? Right, second day of school times another 3 quarters, it's going to be 6 quarters. So how do I write that as a fraction? 6/4. Now, you may be thinking, or let me just go ahead and clarify for you, that a quarter is 1/4 of a dollar. So if I have 6 of those, essentially, I'm copying 1/4 6 times. And we'll talk about how to write an equation for this in just a second. How much money did we have after the second day of school in January, which would have been on Tuesday? Right, we now have $1.50, and we could see that here if we just outlined the white and then the yellow. Okay, so before we talk about how much money we have or how we can write that, the amount of quarters as a fraction, let's talk about how we can write the fractions that we already have as an equation. And let's start with 3/4. I'm going to show you 3/4. And then I want you to think about how you can turn that into you're thinking for 6/4, okay? So 3/4, we say that a quarter is 1/4 of a dollar. That means I have 1/4 plus another 1/4 plus another 1/4, and that's going to give me a total of 3/4. Y'all see that? Awesome. Well, how can I write that as a multiplication equation? 3/4 equals, how many fourths do I have? I have 3 1/4 size pieces, which means I am multiplying 3 times 1/4. Do y'all agree with that? Perfect. So now let's think. If I use this knowledge of 3/4, how can I write an equation for 6/4? Right, it's 6 1/4 pieces, so it's 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. So we have 6 1/4, which is going to give us 6/4. Good. Can anybody think of another equation? Think about the fact that we're collecting 3/4 a day. And this is for our second day. How many times did we collect 3/4? Twice. So I could put 3/4 plus 3/4. Y'all see that? And 3/4 plus 3/4 is the same thing as 6/4 because we have fractions. We're adding fractions with like denominators. So we can combine our numerators and our denominator will stay the same. Anybody else have another equation? Right, we can do a multiplication equation, and it could be 6/4 equals 6 times 1/4, or I could do 6/4. Think about the 3/4. How could I write in a multiplication equation using 3/4? How many 3/4 do we have? 2 3/4. So 6/4 is equal to 2 times 3/4, right? That's just saying that I have 3/4 2 times. Now, I want to be really fancy, and I want to show you another equation that I could create here, and maybe it'll help us in terms of writing a proper fraction for our second day of school in January. So 6/4 is equal to, I'm going to say 4/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. What do we know about 4/4? It's the same thing as 1 whole, right? So then how do I write that as a mixed number? If we know 4/4 is 1 whole, what's 1/4 plus 1/4? It's 2/4, which we know is equivalent to what? A half. So for my day 2, I'm going to add an equivalent fraction here, which is 1 1/2. Ooh. 1 1/2. We good? Awesome. All right, let's think about day 3. We had how many quarters? 9, right? Because 3 days times 3/4 per day gives us 9 quarters, which is 9/4. And I do want you to recognize the improper fraction. Since I am adding fourths, I do want to write my fraction in terms of fourths with respect to the fact that we're adding 3/4 a day, okay? And so if you think about 9/4, we could break it down just like we did with 6/4. 9/4 is 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. Right, well, how much money is that? Here's day 1, here's day 2, here's day 3. $2.25, right? And I'll go ahead and add that here, but how do we know it's $2.25? 9/4 is like saying, just like 6/4 was 4/4 plus a fourth plus a fourth, 9/4 could be 4/4 plus 4/4 plus a fourth, which is 2 whole. 4/4 is equal to 1 whole. You follow me? So 9/4 could be, let me write it on our whiteboard here so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to clear this space so we have plenty of room to work. 9/4 is the same as 4/4 plus 4/4 plus 1/4. Right? I have 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9, since they have the same denominator. And each 4/4 is equivalent to 1 whole. So I have 2 wholes and 1/4. So if you know that, you could easily figure out how much money there is without having to use our visual representations over here. Because that's 2 full dollars plus a fourth of a dollar. And we know a fourth of a dollar is 25 cents. Okay? Now on to day 4. 4 times 3 is 12 quarters, which is how many fourths? 12 fourths. Yes. Okay, now let's write that as a proper fraction. So we wrote it first as an improper fraction. Let's make it proper. Make it into a mixed number or a whole number if possible. That's 3, you're right. 12 divided by 4 is indeed 3. Or we could have thought about it as 2 1/4 plus 3/4. And we know 1/4 plus another 3/4 is 4/4. And we already had 2 wholes, so now we have another whole, which is 3. So we have $3. Okay, that brings us to our 5th day of school, which is today. And we have 15 quarters, which is how much money? I'm going to give you a second to think about it. You ready? Okay, so how do I write this as a fraction? 15 fourths, which is like me saying 15 divided by 4 in essence, okay? And so what would I get if I did that? You still have your 3 wholes, but how many fourths do you have left over? 3/4. And a really good clue would have been to look up here. We had 3 yesterday. We added another 3/4, so it's just 3 3/4. How much money is 3/4 of a dollar? Yes, 75 cents. So we now have $3.75. And that brings us current for our days of school for our calendar collector. Before we go, I do have one question. Make a prediction. When do you think the next day would be that we will have a whole dollar? Like on the 4th day, we have $3. When might we have another day where we have an even amount of money, only dollars, no change? Guess we'll have to wait and see. Guys, have a great weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday. Bye.